Tiffany Frances here. I wanted to give you guys a little background as to why I started this podcast. By the way, I feel really lucky that I get to do this with The Mission Entertainment, which is our production support, and Andrew Coles, my co-host, and Nzinga Murray, our producer. We run this together and it wouldn't be what it is without them. Episodes are edited by Erica Hernandez, and our music is created by Eugene Kim. Also, want to throw out a huge thank you to them as well. You might have heard a few of our episodes already, so you may be familiar with our general intentions. Thank you so much, by the way, for being here, tuning in. It really means a lot to me and our team. If you're wondering why this episode didn't start off with our usual intro, it's because this is one of our unofficial, what we're calling Philosophical Minisodes. We'll be doing this every once in a while when it's a different format or structure from our usual episode of hosting a guest speaker discussing a specific topic. All right, here we go. Why did I want to start this podcast? What I feel we are missing in our industry is true thoughtfulness in the way that it is not actionable yet. I'll repeat that. What I believe we are missing in the film and TV industry is true thoughtfulness in the way that it is not actionable yet. I mean that in our structures, our history, the way things are run. This is not to say there are no thoughtful people. We are in an age where many people are questioning the way things have been established and how they are changing, and they themselves are very thoughtful human beings. This is also not to say there are no actions put into place. What I'm talking about is thoughtfulness that becomes actionable. We are missing that link. Again, to repeat this, where thoughtfulness becomes actionable. True thoughtfulness means you have to listen. Listen to other people. Listen to other people who are different from you, whose opinions might make you feel uncomfortable or challenge your own beliefs. They may fall out of your own realm of philosophical or ethical thought. I personally love being thoughtful. It's such an important part of who I am, not just in my personality, but also as a creative. The issue, though, that I keep running against as a creator is that the American film industry isn't necessarily conducive to thoughtfulness. And through discussion, I would love to foster more of that. I also know that there are plenty of amazing podcasts out there already. Podcasts on film, filmmaking, analyzing movies, how to become a better screenwriter, how to get work as a commercial director, guest talks and processes of actors, creators, etc. What I felt was missing in the filmmaking podcast zeitgeist are harder to have conversations that require a more thoughtful process to get there and maybe require a different kind of listening process too. I was looking for a podcast with conversations that might take a little bit more digging, that might take a little bit more research, that might inspire us to challenge ourselves. I think about responsibility all the time. It's been ingrained in me since I realized I actually wanted to become a filmmaker around the turn of the century in the early 2000s. I'm dating myself now, but anyway. At this time, I was aware of not seeing many Asian Americans in media. And if there were, I felt like they were limited or stereotypical. Subconsciously, I think these limitations, these tropes, cliches on Asian American storytelling, did a lot of damage to not only people in my community, but also how I looked at myself. It also made me realize that these limitations are damaging on society as a whole. How can people understand the full spectrum of what it means to be human when we are only given a slice of that in our representation? I went through a couple more decades of trying to undo that damage and navigated a very painful and circuitous path in filmmaking that oftentimes did not make any sense to me. And truthfully, I still carry some of those feelings with me now, even if I'm a little higher in my career, so to speak. What we make has an effect on the society around us. The stories, the images, the sound and music we weave together to create an episode of TV, or a short film, or a music video, or a documentary, or whole movie can affect another person. If we were altogether able to create more authentically, be more thoughtful, and more considerate, imagine what the world could be like. Imagine what the world would be like if studio heads thought about the responsibility in shaping our culture and how people felt rather than their dollar signs. Here are some of the things I wrote for a pitch when I was conceptualizing this podcast. This is for the thinkers, philosophers, activists in the industry who want to dig even deeper behind the scenes and want to know how to foster change for the better. We're a fan of concepts. They're the core of our ideas. And ideas can change the world when implemented, right? When it comes down to some of the ways people are trying to change Hollywood, sometimes it can feel performative and oftentimes ineffective. We find that those within marginalized sub-communities in the film industry are having first-hand experiences of systemic reckoning or lack thereof. Only within being able to understand the deeper roots of where our industry's problems originated that I think that we can finally and actually start the real work. I especially want marginalized people who might have felt alone, whether they were on a set or came out of a general meeting, and it was a tough experience for them, to be able to tune into our podcast and realize that they are not alone. It'd be amazing if they listen in and discover that there are people out there who do care and want to make the same changes they desire and are actively trying to make these happen. We aim to provide an exploration and education of how the industry currently works, why it works that way, and the history and where it came from. We're looking for topics that ultimately allow us to think about how the industry has never fully reckoned with questions like, what do we create? And how does it affect the world around us? If there are problems in how we make things, and if there are problems in how our industry is built, how do people move through it, and how are people treated throughout it? Does that affect the product that is put out? And what role are we playing in the current and modern moment? And what is our responsibility as individual storytellers? It's no secret that we're already having these kinds of conversations now. If I can place these conversations in a thoughtful and curated podcast, this is my form of activism to provide hope and solutions as well as encourage ongoing dialogue. And that's it. That is what I wrote. What do you guys think? We would truly love to know your thoughts. I also want to encourage people to find new and insightful ways of thinking. In a world where profit is valued over people, machines are employed more than humans, clicks and scrolling are prioritized instead of being present, I want to deeply express how important I believe critical thinking is. Let me repeat that. I believe that critical thinking is deeply important. We need to give ourselves time and space and the mental capacity to think, evaluate, reflect in order to guide our intentions in the way that we carry them out. Thank you guys so much once again for listening to our podcast. And please know that we are really excited about the possibilities of how film philosophy can really cause a stir in how we think and move in this industry. And most importantly, make thoughtfulness become actionable in a positive and inspiring way.